Next few minutes. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Adam Blumenreich, and together with my husband John and our daughter Ilana, we are proud members of the Westfield community and the family of Temple Emanu-El, and have been so for the past 10 years. Hard to believe how fast time flies by. So most recently, Kent and Martha approached us and asked us to speak here tonight to celebrate the gay, lesbian, transgender, queer plus community. And when she did, our reaction really was, well, why? Aside from being poster men for all things gay, we really don't have anything profound to say when it comes to gay rights or acceptance. We were not of the generation that was fighting, literally fighting for our equal rights and acceptance. This might come as a surprise to many of you, but we were not part of the group of men who decided to turn police brutality back against themselves at the Stonewall Inn in Manhattan on the fateful night that would kick off the gay rights movement. We were not a party to any of the many lawsuits against the government that would ultimately give rise to our equal rights. And we certainly don't come from or reside in communities that are not accepting. I mean, Jews, right? We're probably one of the most accepting, one of the most reasonably minded groups out there when it comes to acceptance of those who do not fit the white heteronormative mold. You see, I grew up with a loving and accepting family in Dix Hills, a suburb of New York very similar in nature to that of Westfield today. Okay, perhaps the Jewish population might be a little bit higher there, but who's counting? And John grew up in northern New Jersey, bastion of diversity and community acceptance. I went to the University of Arizona after my folks moved to Scottsdale. It was jokingly called Jew of A and U of Gay. I then went off to law school in New York, where I founded the Gay Students Association, which was founded on the principle of building bridges between communities. While a student, I got to attend the Supreme Court hearing on the case that would ultimately give us the right to have consenting romantic relations, the same as everyone else. Then, one fateful day, I met John while commuting to and from work. And after a few years, we eventually bought our first house here in Westfield. That was 10 years ago. We then made it official with a civil union. Yes, we kind of like to do things backwards sometimes. And of course, a civil union was nothing more than a marriage by another name, which then got converted over to marriage in the eyes of the state after the federal government reversed years of discrimination against us. We have both been active in the community and in Temple, as you heard Kent and Martha say. John was on the executive committee for a few years before moving on to other civic ventures. Then, 11 months ago, our most beautiful daughter, Ilana, was born to us through surrogacy, which, by the way, is the most spectacular process. It's amazing how far science has come. And of course, you all got to meet Ilana a few moments ago, but here she is saying hi to you all. Hi. You see, our story is a happy story, right? We are the product of a generation that has it far easier than the generations before us. And from what I can see, the younger generations have it even easier. Coming out and being openly gay today is much less a thing than it was in the past. See, I don't have anything profound to say, right? I mean, I'm a gay man and I'm proud of the things I've accomplished. Is that the meaning or not the meaning of gay pride? Though maybe that in and of itself is profound compared to the horror and fight the previous generations endured. Maybe. However, as we celebrate the liberty we have received to be treated like human beings, we must be reminded and must not forget that there are still marginalized communities across the country who are not treated with the human dignity they deserve. The Black man walking down the street at night on his way home. The Muslim woman dressed in a hijab walking down the aisles in the supermarket. The Latino family enjoying a beautiful day in the park. Again, I don't have anything profound to say. All people, of all races, of all cultural backgrounds, regardless of whether they are or identify as male or female, or love someone of the same or of a different sex should be treated the same. I don't know. Maybe to some, this idea of equality is profound, in which case, shame on them. Shame on the leader who incites community hatred and uses terms us and them, trying to divide us rather than unite us. Shame on those who back the leader who incites community hatred. And worst of all, shame on those of us who affirmatively engage in those egregious acts of violence or discrimination against anyone because they belong to a marginalized community And finally, shame on those of us who stand by idly when we witness these violent acts or acts of social discouragement. You see, this applies not just to our social group settings of our everyday lives, but also to our political regime. And perhaps more importantly, they apply to our children as students in their schools. No matter the situation, no one deserves to die or to be beaten up because of the color of their skin. No one deserves to be denied community hospitality or even proper medical treatment because of the gender or sex in which they are or identify. No one deserves to be pushed to the sidelines of society with the hopes that they will go away. Again, I don't have anything profound to say. For you see, none of this should be profound. None of this should need to be addressed. None of this should need to be spoken. And yet it is the opposite that is wholly true. We need to address the issue of discrimination and hatred of those who are different head on. And as a community and as individuals, we need to do better, because as a community and as individuals, we are all human with human emotion and the human ability to hurt physically and feel pain. Yes, because Black Lives Matter. And yes, because gay rights are equal rights. And yes, because women's pay needs to be equal pay. During this month of June, I'll admit, I get a little excited to see stories highlighting accomplishments of gay men and women, whether it be in science or sports or celebrities. But honestly, why this month? Why not all year long? And for some reason, the Supreme Court has a habit of releasing opinions on gay rights during the month of Gay Pride, just as it did last week on one's ability to stay employed, no matter the sex or gender of which they self-identify or the sex or gender of the person they love. I just wish, and maybe that day will come within our lifetime, but I wish for the day where all people of all communities are and feel just as welcome, accepted, and embraced as I do right here, right now, with my family, with as many opportunities as I have been afforded in life. I don't have anything profound to say. Thank you, happy Pride, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. You know, Adam,